out of nowhere, Meg the Stallion, not going the Beyonce route, I guess going the old school Beyonce route, and just announcing that her newest album, Traumazine, was dropping this Friday. And I mean, it's been a little bit since we've heard from Meg.
Mm.
And in the time between her last album and Traumazine, we've had a lot of personal things come up. Being shot by Tory Lanez in the foot. I think was it both feet? I can't remember.
I forget some of those details, but this is now the second album where she is addressing this incident because it's definitely something that unfortunately has kind of dogged her in the public sphere, and the kind of reprehensible response on many corners of the internet to that saga, and then the ongoingness of it with the way Tory Lanez has carried himself, and people have covered that. It's a very unfortunate situation that
Mhm.
it's sad ultimately at the end of the day, and disappointing because Megan Thee Stallion is such a talented artist with a lot of accomplishments already. Won 3 Grammys in 2021. Like, it'd be nice if we could move past this very unfortunate incident that was not her fault, and we could get back to her just being one of the best rappers in the game.
Mhm.
Um, I had thought that she had handled it well on the debut album Good News at the end of 2020, because she kind of did what she did again on Traumazine, just fucking eviscerate the haters, man, because Megan Thee Stallion can rap her ass off. And the Shots Fired track where she flips Who Shot Ya from Biggie, I thought that was all that needed to be said, but unfortunately the conversation did continue.
Mhm.
Until now, it's still ongoing with the litigation, unfortunately. And you mentioned that the album came out of nowhere, not unlike the Sugar EP came out of nowhere, where of course the Savage hit blew up. Megan Thee Stallion is still having label issues with 1601. What the fuck is going on? Why does she have label problems?
Yeah,
She's a cash
it's
cow for this shitty ass label. Why are you fighting her? Why are you fighting her with her album? Like, they're like leaking her shit. It's insane. And you'll see in the first week sales, Megan Thee Stallion is not selling 100,000 this week like she did with Good News, because her fucking label isn't helping. It's again unfortunate. However, what we did get on Traumazine, I thought was pretty good because newsflash, Megan Thee Stallion, good ass rapper.
yeah, she's great. And yeah, I don't understand why her label would ever try to like I don't know, have this like power struggle with her. It doesn't really make any sense. Just when you have someone as talented as her, you just let them cook. And I think on here, what I was most struck by on Traumazine is Meg has really blown up for being a rapidy rapper and someone that can just like bring the energy. And she really tries, I think, to build out her sound a little bit more and get more personal on this album and be more of herself. Talk about things that are more personal to hear rather than just being a bad bitch who, gets money and can rap with the best of them. And
Stomp on the hose.
exactly, which I appreciate. But I think on here she's really trying to do more, which I think she does to varying levels of success. But overall, I was pretty impressed with this. And, right from the get go, you get NDA, which I think is just like one of my favorite songs off the album, but it's just like an old school Meg type track, and she absolutely crushes it. And I thought that was a great start to the album. What did you think just about like what you got off the beginning of the album here?
Yeah, I think NDA is interesting, and it kind of continues throughout this album where Megan's not afraid to disperse some personal commentary, even some
Yep.
social commentary. I
Hmm.
think she might have been a bit vague in some of that stuff in the past, apart from addressing Tory. I think now she's almost bringing it back to a bigger picture and kind of seeing uh, the way she's been talked about and covered, and just in general being a public figure for a little bit now. And she's kind of bringing that into some of her quips where she can rap about, dominating men and not settling and all the things we expect her to say. But then, a bar here, a bar there, she can like get like super macro for a second, and say stuff like on fuck, I forget what the song it is where she like throws in a "My Body, My Choice,"
Hmm.
or she raps about race once in a while too. And I think that's really nice to see that kind of progression of what she's thinking about and feeling like she's not settling with her lyrics, with her songwriting either. You know, that's great. Um, I think production wise, I enjoyed a lot of this album too because, like you said, diversifying that sound seems to be pretty pronounced on here. I think towards the beginning we have "Her," which is basically a hip house song,
Mhm.
and Megan sounds great on that beat because Megan the Stallion has amazing flow and many flows at that. She's very versatile, but still technical rapper. And when you hear that on more electronic production, a hip house song, it sounds really good too. But she hasn't really done that before. I thought that was pretty revelatory and definitely, I think, points to more songs to make in the future without a question.
Yeah, no, I completely agree on her, which I really loved. Like that track, I thought it was a great switch up and a nice, just a nice like shot of energy because she can really go into that old school hip hop sound so easily. So to hear that, I thought was great. Later on we get anxiety, which I think is probably the most like personal she tries to get on this, and I was wondering how you felt about that because I think in some ways it felt like a good attempt, but that didn't totally land for me.
Mm.
But then I went back and listened a few more times, and I was like, there's still a lot to like about this song.
Yeah, I think ultimately her strength is still going to be aggression
Hmm.
and more traditional rapping. So while I'm happy to see her continue to try this, lest we forget, Good News, she had a song where she did a lot of singing, it didn't really work too much. Even on the Sugar EP, had a bit of that as well. She's been trying stuff here and there, and I think she's again kind of focusing in on what she wants to do. And Anxiety, I think, is pretty successful. Definitely better than some of those other attempts. I think a song like Star on this album, that's the one where I wait, not Star, something else. Oh yeah, Star with Lucky Day. Sorry, that's the
Hmm.
one where like she is probably doing a little bit too much on the singing side of things there, and like I kind of have two minds because like I don't mind her getting to try and diversify herself, but I also feel like she probably doesn't need to do that anyway. Like she doesn't need to prove herself and like make herself into an artist she's not because she's already a really good, compelling artist as is.
Hmm.
So I guess I don't mind her continuing to try and do stuff, whether it's on the lyrical side of things or on the actual performance side of things. That's a little outside of that box we've come to expect over the last few releases.
Yeah, I, I appreciate her trying the singing. I don't definitely don't think it's her strong suit, but it's nice to see her like push those boundaries. Yeah, another thing I wanted to ask you because there's quite a few people showing up on this album, right?
Mm.
Gina Ioko, Rico Nasty, Dua Lipa at the end of the
Mhm.
album. What was your favorite feature here? Probably, actually, no. Let me guess. Pressurelicious was probably your favorite, right?
So much has been made about the future feature on Pressurelicious, where Meg dropped 250K to get the feature, paying the future price apparently, which is definitely tough to see because it's a pretty unspectacular future feature, like many of them are. However, I think Meg saves the song with one of, if not her best lines on the whole album. I'm stomping on hoes so motherfucking hard. I'm knocking out Mario tokens. Bow, bow, bow. I mean, that's
Genius.
more memorable than anything Future does. You know, we're famously not Future guys, so
Yeah.
I'm sure some people will enjoy that one. But yeah, in terms of my favorite feature, I thought Janae Aiko sounded pretty good on consistency, and I thought that was actually a cool pairing because obviously Janae, as an R&B singer, very
Mhm.
different than Megan. I thought that was nice. Southside Royalty Freestyle is awesome just as a Houston rap
Yes.
posse cut. Someone new on the come up like Sauce Walka, and then you have Lil Kiki and Big Pokey who are more OGs in the scene. Nice to see that. I think Travis Scott, the other big Houston rapper right now, I really don't think he's shown as much love in that way to Houston. It's really cool to see this on an official album from a big artist in like Megan. So that was awesome. I thought the Rico feature was pretty good, just
Hmm.
because Rico Nasty is a high floor. Nice to hear her there. Would have loved to hear what Doja Cat could have done with Megan, just because they're both operating at such a high level these days. I thought it was cool that Pooh Shiesty was here, given that he is in jail right now. Thought that song was just okay. Key Glock, I'm a fan of his as well. Shout out Memphis. Thought that one was just okay too. Perhaps the best feature though, I think, is Lotto on Budget.
Yes.
I think that is like a perfect like 1-2 right there. Lotto rapidly rising as well in a similar mold, but also has a bit of crossover feel too with other some of her songs like Big Energy. I thought Budget was awesome.
Man, Dave, I thought you were gonna name all those and leave me Budget to just come in over the top and like hammer home, but you got it right in under the wire. That was my number one too. I thought them together was an
Yeah.
amazing duo. And yeah, I think my second favorite was the Southside Royalty Freestyle. That was just an amazing song. Really, really fun to listen back to. And and that guitar at the beginning is so like different than anything else you get on this album. So it really draws you and gives you that like southern feel, and then they just start like flowing together so well. Really
hmm
impressive. Um,
How do you feel
yeah, I
about the
mean, what
duo
else?
track, "Sweet as Pie"? It's ostensibly the lead single of this.
Yeah.
To me, it kind of fits in the a lot of the duo features we've got, really, like with they're totally fine, totally competent in the
Mhm.
future nostalgia mold, more or less, but perhaps lacking a bit of that spark.
Yeah, I agree. I think didn't blow me away. I think anything do is on. She sounds fine, or at minimum right now she sounds fine. But I think that song for Meg just feels so like disingenuous. Like doesn't feel like something that actually like she wanted to make. But more so, her label's like, we can get Dua Lipa on a song. We need to do this, and Meg's like, okay, fine.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, I don't foresee her making her future off of songs like that. But if you can get Dua and she wants to make a song with you, why not?
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I think overall, I just was like, for an album we weren't expecting, I was like really happy to get this, and really just happy to have Meg making music and trying to be more of herself. I think that's a nice sign for her moving forward.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think, going into this, like you said, with little notice due to the label being shitty, I almost had like a bit of apprehension. I was like, I don't want Megan Thee Stallion to sound stale, you know? And I
Mhm.
think that's kind of like a concerned trolley thought people have started to propose about female rappers these days because there's so many of them right now, and a lot of like the more like sex rap stuff from the female side of things is somehow getting criticized when this stuff on the male side doesn't seem to get quite as much flack. Wonder why that is. But Tina Snow, Fever, Good News, the compilation album, something for the hotties last year, it's been a steady dose of Megan Thee Stallion to this point, unless we forget, of course, WAP as well with Cardi. So I was really happy to hear that Traumazine did still feel like a step forward for her, both lyrically and also production wise. Not that it's a full step forward in either of those facets, it's not, but there's still, I think, a lot of like intentionality in how Megan is approaching her career, despite seemingly having her hands tied behind her back by the
Yeah,
label. So hard to be too critical, I think.
completely agree. Meg is awesome. We're big fans here. We'll be adding a song to our Nostalgia Best of 2022, so check that out on Spotify.